I'm going to show 2 videos. These are exclusives from the album. So I only show them at Epilogue Conversations. The world has not seen these, so you're getting 2 exclusive videos from the Epilogue album. The first one is going to deal with a man's perspective, and the second one is going to deal with a woman's perspective within the characters of the album. So the album is an entire story. But before we do that, I'm going to ask Charles another question, which deals with what you guys were doing earlier. The question on vulnerability, I saw that there was a lot of votes that men, was it something about men aren't vulnerable, or men? It's more difficult for men to be vulnerable. Okay. Is this how women feel?
Yes.
Yeah?
I will say I have 6 brothers, and they tend to give me the same feedback. That
Okay.
It's more difficult because of societal pressure.
I like that. Men, do you feel that way? The handful that are in the room?
Yeah.
Okay. Vulnerability. Women use that word a lot. They talk about the importance of vulnerability and wanting a man who is able to articulate themselves in an honest and transparent way. Is this right?
I
Okay.
think there's a contradiction, though.
Okay, hold that thought. But when you look back on your past relationships, do you think of moments when you may have wanted to be vulnerable but you didn't feel safe?
Yeah. Like I talked about my last relationship, but also other toxic relationships I had. Because, and I think maybe especially because like in my 20s there was this like belief that and also our pledge of fraternity. And so even in the fraternity, that there's also this like, no, you can't be weak.
Right.
Especially when you're online pledging a fraternity.
Right.
Not that my fraternity engages in any kind of hazing festivities. Yeah, exactly. But there's this like, there was this like, I remember it very well. Like in my 20s, like, you gotta be a man, you gotta be hard, you gotta be this, you gotta be that. I think also like, growing up in the Bay Area, we grew up in some kind of rough areas. There was also like, well, I don't have time to be sensitive. You know what I'm saying? If you are sensitive, then you're called different kinds of names for being. You could die. You could do whatever.
Yeah. I know that sounds bad. I'm from Cleveland, so I know it gets a little real.
Yeah, exactly. Richmond, California, Vallejo, California. I didn't have time really to be. Also I played football, other hyper masculine activities.
Right.
That goes on, and I was raised by my mother.
Yeah.
She's a single parent.
Hey, Mom.
And she did her best to try to teach me like how to be vulnerable or how to express my feelings and stuff like that. But as soon as I stepped outside the house, it was a whole different ballgame. Like 9 hours of the day, there was messages, this, that, and other, and then watching music videos back in the day, Pop, Big, everybody, it's just like bombarded with all that stuff. So in my 20s, that's how I felt. And in my 30s, it wasn't until like maybe 6 years ago, when I turned 30, that I started to like really backtrack over the span of the last decade, and then further into my childhood, to where different relationships that I had, I wasn't able to voice my emotions or my anything, and so there wasn't any safe spaces really for me to be vulnerable or learn that language.
Yeah,
because I think it's a
learn
language.
that language. That's good.
And so in my last relationship, be vulnerable. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to verbalize that, you know what I'm saying, or even how to bring that out of myself, because I didn't have the language for it. So I like really had to like dig deep. Because I was also being pressured, but also because of therapy.
Yeah.
Just having to like, well shit, how do I feel right now?
And to be told that it's okay to feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.